with the speculation of Gecko Moria being Kazuki Moria based on the grave presented in the cover story of One Piece chapter 1158 during the 40th volume of the Yamato cover story, people have began to wonder if more characters from Thriller Bark are actually from Wano. Now, I think it's very possible that those said to be from the West Blue, meaning Gecko Moria himself, Absalom, and Perona. Today, we will be focusing on Perona because it's quite interesting that a lot of people have been saying that Perona does look like Toko from Wano. And I'll just be listing off some very interesting similarities that I found between the two. So both of them have pink hair and the same round eyes, but both of them were taken in by fathers not related to them biologically. With Toko, she was taken in by Shimon-suke Yasue, and of course, Perona was taken in by Gecko Moria. With that being said, too, both of them could have ties to the Kazuki clan, because Toko was also watched after by Kozuki Hiyori, and presumably, if they are the same person, Perona was taken in by Kazuki Moria, who indeed might be Gecko Moria. On top of that, both of them are related to a particular emotion. And with both of them being technically Devil Fruit users, it's quite interesting that based on their individual predicaments, they are on opposite ends of the emotional spectrum, because in being the eater of a defective artificial Devil Fruit known as a smile, Toko is forced to laugh and smile uncontrollably, even in times of great despair. But Perona, in being the user of the legitimate paramecia type Devil Fruit known as the Hollow Fruit, she herself has the properties of a ghost, meaning she can astral project and fly around, but she can also produce ghosts. Said ghosts, when they pass through a person, can make that person depressed. So with that being said, it's quite interesting that while Perona is an embodiment of sorrow, Toko is an embodiment of laughter, much to her sorrow. But with that being said, both of them oddly have been victims of Usopp's trickery, because Usopp, during the events of Wano, was selling toad oil and claimed said oil had healing properties. When her father was gunned down, Toko tried to revive Yasue with said toad oil that Usopp was selling. However, the toad oil was a farce. This translates over into the fight that Usopp had with Perona, in which she was tricked twice, even thrice, by him, in which various tactics that he used were all bluffs, meaning his Big Bang Star was just glue, his Black Shining Star were just rubber cockroaches, and his 10-ton hammer, in truth, was just a balloon. So it's quite funny that both of them have this very odd relationship with Usopp in that way, both for better and for worse. But with that being said, lastly, both of them have a very strange relationship with Zoro. During the events of Wano, Zoro kept Toko and Hiyori safe, and in the events of the time skip, Perona and Zoro spent a lot of time together, and she is the reason why he was able to get back to Sabaody Archipelago to meet up with the rest of the Straw Hats. So with that being said, I found all these comparisons very interesting, and if you have more, please put them down in the comments. But with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What?